Aloha, e komo mai. Welcome or welcome back to Rainbow Budgets. I am so glad you are here. Today we are going to be doing our final August check-in. I know we are so far already into September, but our last August paycheck, our second one, actually went through September 5th. So I was not able to close out our August budget until we got past this date, but now, yay, we are past it and we're going to see how we did today. We had some successes and some not as much successes. So my husband and I both work and we each have our own credit cards. We do now have a joint savings account, a couple of them actually including our high yield savings account, and then we have some joint credit cards like I mentioned. And so I still keep our budget as we're going through separated into a his and a hers, but this is more so that I know whose credit card we're spending on, less so that I know maybe exactly what my husband's spending. For example, some things like groceries, that is generally joint expense across the board. Eat out, again, same thing, usually. Family fun, same thing. And then we have our separate spendings. And even then, sometimes he spends on my card, I spend on his, that's just how it goes. But I do like having these two columns separated out. So let's see how we did. In this column, we see for our variable expenses and our short-term expenses, what we are rolling over from the first half of the month of August. We were already in the negative in a couple of our budgeting categories, and that's not great, but not the end of the world, as we'll see. Budgeting is different every single month. No matter how hard we try to always make improvements, there are just some things that come up at certain times of the year that can't really be avoided. And with our sinking funds, we do try to kind of mitigate that a little bit, but there's only so much we can do. So I'm happy as long as we are overall sticking within our budget. Sometimes maybe we'll eat out more and spend less on groceries, or do more for family fun but less for the eat out category, if that makes sense. So it all comes out in the wash, but let's see how we did. Let's see, let me get to a place where I can write comfortably here, and I may zoom you in. We'll see. You'll have to let me know, do you prefer being zoomed in or do you like to just zoom in yourself? I know you can use the two fingers, right, if you're on a phone, to zoom into the video yourself. So just let me know what you prefer and I can try to do that moving forward. Okay, so for groceries, out of my husband's account, we spent $257. Oh, that was an ugly 7. And then for mine, we spent 56. And so that left us with a total of, actually, let me twist this. Here we go. We had 348 left over in the positive. So that's good. 348 that we did not spend. This is not because groceries are getting less expensive. This is definitely because we are making a huge conscious effort to eat carefully and also to have as little waste as possible. For eating out, we spent $168 on my husband's card and $160 on mine. It was a pricey month for us as far as eating out goes, but we still stayed within our overall budget and we had $283 left over. So that's awesome. For family fun, we were already in the negative and we went even more in the negative. We spent $100. That was for the Okinawan festival mostly. And so that puts us at a negative $277. Not great. Okay, for household, we spent $38 on my card. So we stayed within budget. Yay. This is a category where we went over last week and we were just barely in the positive, but we were there. $5 left over for that one. And then for buffer, I always just carry it over until the end of the month. So I'll just say we had 200 left here. All right, let's pause right there. And I'm going to add these up to see overall for our variable spending what we had left over. So that is 348 plus 283 minus 277 plus 205. So $559 altogether here. That's pretty good, is what we did not spend. Let me rotate this. So we had $559. That's awesome, actually. I'm pretty proud of that. Sorry for flipping things around on you, friends. Okay, for our variable, or our short-term savings or short-term sinking funds, For enrichment, this is for my sons, like after school activities. We spent $102 and $106, which leaves him with a balance of just $25. So we definitely need to focus on building this one back up. This back to school season is a little expensive for us. For hair and beauty, $82 came off on my husband's card and $15 on mine. These were both spent on me though, and that put me in the negative by $25. Oops, not green. Negative is not green, it is red. Or in my case, pink. Okay, so negative 25. All right, for home, we were already negative here and we still spent some more. Not much, but it's just a little bit. 17 and 10, oops, which put us at a negative 82. Yuck. Negative 82. And then for pet, we spent $260. This was for grooming and for food for our dog. Pricey, yes. So she's left with 16. So this is another focus area for us for the month of September. For my husband's spending, he had 124. He spent just 22. He did amazing. So he has 102 rolling over into the month of September. For my spending, I spent 37 and 118. My spending is going to start going up. I know for sure for September already it's going up as well. I have a really hard time not buying things for my classes, especially when it comes to food. I teach at a Title I school and our students really need it. And so I end up spending a lot on supplies. I think my first few years teaching, I spent anywhere from 10 to 20% of my paycheck on general supplies and stuff that I needed for school. Again, this is not like frivolous spending. I know nobody expects teachers to be the ones buying food for the students, but it is really hard to see them like sad and hungry at school. And even though they do get some free meals if they qualify, they still rely on parents to fill out the paperwork to qualify them. And it's just not always possible for them to be taken care of by the system. So we do what we can. And especially with seeing like this number left over for me, how could I then make a student go hungry for breakfast or lunch, or when things aren't really within their control, right? So that's one thing that's really, really difficult about being a teacher sometimes. All right, so then I have left over after that spending $1,449. And then for my son spending, nothing on my husband's card and just 14 on mine. So we spent $1,045 on my husband's card and $517 on mine. And I do go through, even though I'm not doing it with you right now on the calculator, one reason I like to have these totals is because then I'll just make sure that this adds up to this minus both of these, right? Just to make sure that all of my numbers are kind of coming across correct. So my son has $1,494 remaining in his account. And I'm sorry, the pen is skipping a little bit right there. So that leaves us with $3,538 at the end of the month. Now, not all of this will roll over. This $559 we are going to now take, and you'll see how we adapt it into the September budget in just a minute. These things in purple here though are short-term sinking funds. They do roll over, and when I add all of them up, they come to a total of 2,000. Oh, oops. Actually, okay, sorry, before I do that, oh, sorry, and now I'm gonna have to do white out across the yellow lines here, and I just ran out of white out. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's a sign. Maybe no white out then. Okay, so I did go through and take money out of my spending here to cover these two so that they're at a zero balance. So instead of carrying over negative, they're down to 0. And so that was 25 plus 82, so $107. So minus 1,449. That leaves me with $1,342 that I will carry over. And I am so sorry now that there is that line. And the total then for our variable rollover, which I'll insert a screenshot of here too, so you can see how I keep it in the high yield savings account to earn a little bit of interest, is $2,979. And this is down a little bit from our rollover into August. So we are spending a little bit more than we are adding to this savings, but that's not great to always be happening. But it's okay for now. It is what it is for August. It just turned out to be a spendy month for us. All right, let's see, what else do we need to talk about up here? Oh, right, so this takes us to, I'm actually gonna pull this page out, and we can flip over here to our September budget. So let's take a look at how this impacts the September budget. There are a few more things I also mentioned that we would have adding on here. So I did get an extra paycheck, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know what it is. It could be for a day that I worked extra over the summer. I'm thinking that's what it's for. I don't know. We don't really get those sort of details on our pay stubs. I don't think it's a mistake. Like, I don't think it's going to be taken back out of my account. I think it is probably real. I'm just not 100% certain why. So I'll just put the DOE here that I work for, and that was after taxes and everything came out, just $48. Okay, and then let's see, we need to add in, oh, and when I went through our bills, we had $24 that we did not spend for various reasons that were initially in our budget, and then just bills ended up coming out $24 less than what I'd anticipated. And this, then we need to add in this other variable from August, and that was the $559 that we just discussed right here. Okay, and so that actually gives us, when we add up the 48 and the 24 and the 559, that gives us $631 more than we had initially budgeted. So what are we going to do with that 631? If it was a smaller number, I would just let it be a buffer or whatever, but that's a pretty decent amount. So we're not going to increase the variable budget. We're not going to increase our short-term sinking funds. At least I don't think that we should for now. I would like to, let's see. Oh, we had something new come out, and that was actually, yeah, okay, we'll go ahead and talk about it now. Canva. I totally forgot about my Canva subscription and my annuals. So we're going to be saving $10. So I'll just put a plus 10 because we have to add in 10 more per month. But then I also have to include the 120 that came out already. So if we're looking at our, 631, let's see, can you see that? Yes, okay. 631 minus the $10 that we need to be budgeting per month for Canva, minus the 120 that came out for my annual subscription that I totally forgot to budget for, we are left with, what, 631 minus 10 minus 120, we're left with $501. So I want to put one of those dollars, so minus one, down here in our extra debt. So this is now going to be 1,160 divided over 5 weeks is going to be $232 per week. I had initially budgeted $232 for 4 weeks and then $231 for 1 week, but now we're going to stick with the $232 across the board, which is awesome. So 160 there, and that leaves us with $500. I would love to put this $500 towards our home MRO so that I can save for a new washer and dryer, but ours is working just fine. It's just that I want the updated one, and I think it would be a quality of life increase to have the updated one. So it's not 100% frivolous, but what we really need right now is to save for new tires. So $500 is going to go in addition to this $745 to our auto MRO, and it's just going to go straight for tires. So that's what this remaining 500 is going to account for. So we will do all of this stuffing together next week, but I just wanted to explain to you that rollover, where it's going to be going, how we used it to finish adjusting our September budget so that it is spot on based on our actuals from the end of August. Okay, now let's see, we need to go back to this page, and let me flip back to where this one lives. And actually, maybe I won't put it back in just yet because we are going to talk about our car loan. So let's talk about what we ended up spending or contributing to our long-term savings down here. So for our annual subscriptions, we did not add anything else. We always do that at the beginning of the month. But for the second paycheck, we did spend $301, and that leaves us with a total balance of $988. I'll insert the screenshot so you can see that here. And then we're also going to unstuff here. In my high yield savings account, which I absolutely love, you can have unlimited buckets. And when I first set it up, actually, I pretty much took advantage of that, but it just got to be a lot to look at. And so now I just have a category called annual subs, and in this binder, and I actually got this idea from Teacher Mom Budgets. It was a phenomenal idea, and so I hope she doesn't mind that I'm using it. I have my annuals category back here that has my total $988 in prop bills, but it's divided between different categories for what I'm saving for annuals. So Amazon Prime, our United credit card, our American Express credit card. Part of what came out was Sam's. We had $52 come out for Sam's, so that worked out really well. And now this envelope is empty until we stuff it next week together. Preschool enrollment, not that one. It was the preschool fundraiser that came out for my son. That actually came out to $249. So 1, 2, 20, 45, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're gonna have $3 rolling over in that account, and that's okay. We'll just keep adding to it. I think it's okay to have such a small little like buffer like this, right? Okay, and then Canva. So I don't have the Canva envelope here. We weren't saving for it. I totally forgotten about it until it came out. That happens sometimes. So we are just accommodating for it in the September budget, as you saw. Okay, let's see. Auto MRO, nothing in or out. So that leaves us with our 2,656. For home MRO, same thing. Nothing in or out for the second half of the month. So that leaves us with 758. Sorry, I'm not sure why my pen is skipping. I think it's maybe because I touched the paper. Sometimes these pens, they write so super nicely until they get to a part of the paper that you have touched. So I guess oil from your hand or lotion or whatever. For emergency, nothing in or out. So that's still 504. For medical, we did add 210. And so that should give us a balance of 3,955. That's awesome. And I put my binder away too soon because I have that money to add in here. So in our savings challenges, we are tracking medical and Christmas, and then we have our back to school savings book that we did. Those all live in here. So for medical, if we are adding 210, perfect. Let's see where that puts us all together. 1, 2, and a 10. Nice. So 1, 2, 3,500, 6, 7, 8, 900, 3,900, 20, 30, 40, 55. Perfect. Exactly what we should have. Nice. All right, for travel, we did finish some savings for that as well. We finished $500, but for this one, we are not tracking it in here. We did not take any out, so that leaves us with 2,500. For Christmas, nothing in or out, so we are staying at 681. Okay, and for education, we added 485. We budgeted and then played with what we had budgeted in a savings challenge binder, and then we finished 485 in challenges. Sorry, that was a very ugly 8. And I say nothing went out, but this goes into a 529, and I'm not tracking the value of the account because it is an investment account, right? I'm just tracking what we are adding in so that we know when we have met a certain goal. So that is $2,811. And let's flip over here to our education savings tracker. So 2,811. Let me bring my calculator back. Each square, rectangle, whatever you want to call it here, is $50. So 2,811 divided by 2,811 divided, oh nope, sorry, 2,811 divided by 50 is what? 2,811 divided by 50. There we go, 56.22. So we can color in up to 56. This is 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nice. So we made some great progress here, over halfway done, and the year is over halfway done as well. So it's a good thing we are making those strides. Up next, looking at extra debt. This is to pay off our car loan. I'm not tracking the beginning and ending like balance on here because it varies every month with interest depending on when we make our payments. So we did make extra payments of $600. Plus we made the regularly scheduled $1,000 payment. And so I'm just going to say tracker on here. And let's flip over to that page of our tracker. Here we are. So we started with a balance when I started tracking this of $10,369. I'll just leave the cents off for now. And our current balance with this $600 payment and the $1,000 payment is $6,617. So that means we have paid off $3,752. And each square here is 104. So divided by 104, that puts us at a little over 36, which is very exciting. 36 is right here. So let me get this colored in for us. All right, sorry that got a little bit messy there, but wow, look at our progress. We are doing great. I still don't know if we're going to be able to achieve this year, but we are on our way. The last couple things that we need to just check off here, sorry about that, is for Pauhana. We had $200 in our high yield savings account. I haven't been tracking this because it is in cash. But now that I'm moving some for my son's, mine, and my husband's birthdays into our high yield savings because we have a while and it's starting to get a few $100s in each, I'm going to start tracking that for our high yield savings account here. So we added in 300 more, and then we have cash, of course. So that puts 500 in our high yield savings. We do have more than that saved, as you know, in our binder where we fill the money as we finish the challenges together each Friday. For our back to school and school gifts, we did finally finish that. Yay! We had 400 in our high yield savings plus some cash, but now that that is finished, it is all in our high yield savings. So when we finished it, we took 157 back to the bank. So we have 557 in here. And as I'm recording this, in the next couple of days, we are going to be going to buy treats for my son's school because he is the child of the week, yay, which he loves. So that will be coming out in September, so you'll get to see that. So we are going to be slowly eating down at this 557, but that's why we saved it, right? Yes. Okay. Mahalo nui for being here with me. I feel like we wrapped up August pretty good. Again, we went over some areas, we went under others, so it all kind of comes out in the wash. We do have things to take note of and to be very conscious of as we move forward, but then we also have some highlights and some positive spots. So that is really awesome. I will see you here next week for stuffing the different long-term savings that we have here for our beginning of September budget, and then 2 weeks from then we will do our first September check-in. So we'll see how the spending is going for the month. And then on Friday, I'll see you for our regular Pauhana savings. Mahalo nui for joining me today. Hope you have a great week. I love getting to chat with all of you and get feedback and advice from you. So I appreciate that so very much. Thank you for being so generous with this community. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you Friday. Aloha.